Hey, what's up everybody? This is Trey Armstrong with Armstrong Aroids. You might notice I look a little bit tired because I'm super exhausted after a long day. We had our first day of the Ecuagenera 2023 pop-up. It is our anniversary event, so very excited about it. It was a little bit different than it was the first year, which was last year. The reason for that is because last year we did it on Saturday and Sunday, and so we knew that Saturday would be really busy. And we weren't sure what Sunday would turn out to be like, and it actually ended up being pretty good as well. But it was a lot slower after like the 12 o'clock hour. Now today was a little bit different. So on Friday, which is today, at the time that this video is being filmed, we had a pretty good size line at the beginning, so like 25-30 people. And then from there it was more like a steady trickle all throughout the day, all the way up until 5 o'clock when we closed. And so it was really neat to see that we had probably more people on a Friday than we had on a Sunday. But at the same time, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in terms of Sunday versus, well, like having the second day on a Sunday versus the second day on a Saturday. So we'll see what that plays out like. But nonetheless, you know, we too are plant passionate people just like you guys are. And so we took advantage of the pre-order and ordered some stuff for us as well. And so what I thought I would do today is just kind of give you that little quick prelude, hoping to see some of you tomorrow. I may or may not have this video posted tonight, but I'm hoping to see some of you tomorrow. And until then, we might as well do a little bit of an unbagging, because everything's in bags instead of boxes this time. So we'll do a quick little pre-unbagging event. And honestly, because we've been ordering for such a long period of time from the time that we started ordering until the event, I honestly don't even remember what's in almost any of this. So this is going to be a new experience for me, just like it is for you. I don't think I'm going to go through and do the whole process. I think I'm just going to unwrap it, show you what it is, show you what the condition is, and then maybe I'll show you what our process is like getting it into water, or how we're going to acclimate it, and maybe I'll make that into another video. So let's get into it. Quick prelude or interlude while we do that, and I'm going to get it ready and I'll be right back. Talk in a second. Okay, so since we're talking about pre-orders, I just realized that maybe I should talk about one other thing too. Provided we're able to continue to do this on an annual basis, one of the nice things that we're trying to do is, if you have a pre-order and you just want to pick up your pre-order and not shop and not look around, we'll pretty much shoot you straight to the beginning of the line so that you can pick up your pre-order and not have to worry about standing in line in order to do that. So if you happen to attend an Ecuagenera pop-up event at Armstrong Aroids, keep that in mind. Just say, hey, I've got a pre-order, I'm not going to shop, and then we'll run you down and get your pre-order and get you on your way. All right, so let's jump to this first order here. So this is the first one. Bunch of stuff in here. And it's all bagged up. And like I said, I have no idea what's in here. Okay, so we're gonna just put it off to the side so that I can't see what it is, and we'll just kind of go through it like that. So up first, we have a anthurium Philodendron, and I'm thinking that's a Strappy guy. It looks Strappy by the way that, I don't know, I don't think I'm gonna, I'll probably maybe speed it up a little bit for the parts that I'm struggling to get it out of the cellophane, and then that way you don't have to worry about that. So that's my cue. Let's speed it up right here because this is a struggle. Maybe I need scissors. I think by the 4th or 5th plant I'll probably get better at this. Can you hand me some scissors, please? Okay, another thing, here's a quick tip. Because these are imported plants, if you do decide to import plants versus buy them from the store, if you do, what I would recommend is save your name tag, because odds are that your plant very well may die, or at least die back to a chunk, and you'll have no idea what it is once it does die back to a chunk until it grows out, and oftentimes until it grows out to being like a pretty good size, because a lot of plants look very similar until they hit a certain size. A lot of plants look similar even after they hit a certain size, to be honest, but that will be your way of knowing exactly what that plant is. So if your plant dies, you have your label that tells you what it is, and that will help out. I think what we're going to do is just open up the bottom here. Oh yeah, this is good looking. I see one tear so far, but all in all, wow, yeah, that is a good looking plant. Show some of that there. Yeah, good looking. So kind of a rundown of it. This plant actually shipped really well, so it's good to know. And then that was another thing that's different with this year's event versus last year's event. Last year it was super hot. It was the middle of the summertime, and no matter what we would have done, there was a chance that plants would suffer because of the heat and being in the plane over the period of time that they were with all of that heat. Doing it in May, I think, was a lot better for the plants in terms of the shipping process, and so that was a nice way to go. So I think in the future, if we do future pop-ups, which I would love to, Ivan, I'm going to be in touch with you. We'll definitely try and do it during our anniversary, and it'll just be like an anniversary thing every year. And hopefully it's not going to snow, because it was close to snowing during this year's anniversary with how the weather's been. What are you doing? All right, so let's scissors this time. Alright, and I didn't say what this one was just yet, but this one has been an exciting one. If you're into the dark anthuriums, this is a sweet one. They call it a raven soul, but I think it's a cross, and maybe I'll put the information up in like the corner there, but I think it's a cross between a luxurian and a crystallinum, maybe. And maybe we'll have a better idea once we open it up, but let's take a look. But I'm pretty sure this is going to be a nice dark anthurium. So let's put this right here. Oh yeah, look at that shipped really well. That is pretty. It might be a cross between a forgetty-eyed dark form and luxurian. I know it's luxurian for sure. I mean, it says luxurian all over it. And it could even be a Gigi or a Gigi. I should say it right, because our Ecuagenera representative this year, her name was Gigi. And so, like the Nigrolaminum that they call Gigi, it's actually called a Gigi. I've been calling it a Gigi, but I'm imagining it's probably a Gigi, which could quite possibly be named after her, because it's because of she grew up in the plant industry basically, and her parents had her while they were in the plant industry. So I don't know. Gigi, correct me if I'm wrong. Just, yeah, let me know. All right, but yeah, beautiful, beautiful plant. Loving that. All right, good stuff. Let's see. This, I have no idea what this is, and I don't recall ordering it, to be honest. This is a Anthurium JL Camano, because it's got the squiggly line over the N. So, but I have zero clue what this is. It must have been like inexpensive or something. I don't know. That or I just really like the way it looked. But let's find out. Oh, that's cool. Oh, wow. Wow. Definitely really like the way it looked on this. This is super dark. Let's lift that one up. Wow. That is beautiful. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it probably was not very cheap. But man, that's a good looking plant, and so far I've just been really impressed with how these have shipped. But I don't recall seeing this or know how much this is, but man, I am very impressed with that. It's just dark and pretty, and it looks like a cross. I don't know. That's, yeah, wow. That looks good. I better stick the name tag in there because I have no idea what this is. Okay, up next we have, oh, Serenoy Velvet. I almost bought one of these today, to be honest with you. Yeah, good stuff. Let's see what it looks like. Also, pretty good condition. Looks like there might be a little bit of like rubbing damage on a little bit of the leaf, but for the most part it looks really good. And it's a really good size too. I mean, if you can see it size up right there, like that. Has the same style and look as the Queen Anthurium, but I'm hoping that it's going to end up being a lot more hardy than the Queen, because the Queen has just not been, I don't know, if you can keep them alive, you rock, you're awesome, but I am not one that can. We've got one on the plant wall that seems to be doing pretty good, but it's also the only one that we have that is doing good, and so there's that. But yeah, hopefully this will be a good substitute for that. We'll see how it goes, and maybe it'll be something that we'll bring in and carry on a regular basis if it tends to do well, because I've not been a fan of queens, and so I don't want to pass that trauma on to my customers, and so I typically don't buy them, even though we do get asked a lot, hey, do you have any queens in? No, because we kill them, and I don't want you to have to go through that. But you know, sometimes it takes a lot of time to learn, and a lot of trial and error, and a lot of failure before you either figure it out or just decide that it's just not the route for you. Kind of like how it's been for me with Amazon sunsets. You know, after like 8, I finally gave up on them. Oh, this should be another good one. This is a really good order. This is a fun order. All right, so this is an Anthurium Portilla Dreams. Probably can't see that, but yeah, this one should also be a really nice dark Anthurium. I can't remember what the cross is that makes this up, but I just remember that it's dark and gorgeous. Let's see. This And we actually, I think I've got purchased 2 of these. One because it's one that I would like to actually have in the store and carry, just because of how nice it is. And so hopefully we'll be able to do that, where we bring one into the store after obviously getting it re-rooted, acclimated, healthy, and in good condition, and then keeping one for ourselves, maybe to just grow out. This guy was stuck to the thing here. Oh my goodness. Wow, look at that. And the back side. Yeah, this is just beautiful. And then it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves. But man, and I'm not sure what the cross is on this. Again, I'll try and put it in the comments up there. But man, this is just, it's amazing. And if you could see it in person, I think it looks a little bit lighter on camera, you know, if we put them side by side. But it's definitely lighter than the Raven Soul, but it's still super dark and super pretty. That's one that you're probably gonna have to see in person to see how nice this is. And some plants are like that. There's some where it's like, I don't think I would buy that, and then you see it in person and it's like, yeah, I'm buying that. All right. And again, you know, just to recap, these are orders that we have purchased over a little bit of time. Like, this all isn't just one order. It's because we knew the event was happening and you could pre-order. We'd have a little bit of money, they'd have a sale, we'd pre-order. We'd have a little bit of money, they'd have a sale, we'd pre-order. And so it all just kind of built up over time to being the amount of plants that we were able to purchase overall. Which is kind of another side note too, you know. Ecuagenera doesn't really have a wholesale process, and so when we get these plants, we're not getting them at a discounted rate. And so, you know, there's that expense for us, just like there's that expense for you. And so when you see it in the store, and it might be more than what you see it online, the reason why is because all of those additional risks, like shipping risks, survival rate risks, and taking the time to let all the bad old leaves die off and the new leaves grow in our own care, you know, all of that's kind of built into that. And so that's why you see that price difference. But that's really, you know, and I've said it before, that's really what our niche is to give you that awesome imported plant, A, at a price that you can afford, but B, in a condition where when you take it home, you know, you're not in a debate with yourself as to whether or not it's going to live as a result of the conditions that it's been through. I don't even know what this was. I didn't even look at the tag. I was just talking. So this is an Amazon rabbit, also anthurium, and it's also a cross. It's a cross between a Gigi and something else. Can't remember what that something else is. Let's see. Maybe we'll look at it and see if we can see it. And then you can say, well, yeah. And usually when I film, I'll film like either late at night or when I'm home alone, but I'm not, and so you might hear some noises and some people in the background. It's probably my wife and my dogs, but you know, such is life, and it's okay. Alright. So Amazon rabbit. I'm just gonna get it tagged up here. Alright, so the Amazon rabbit. Oh, this one's got a tear in it. That's kind of sad. So this is probably the one that's got the most damage to it so far out of everything that we've looked at so far. And it looks like that one's got a tear in it too. But I mean, all in all, I mean, if you look at like the condition of the leaf in terms of how it did in shipping, very, very happy. This is probably one of the better orders that I've received. It smells like it did get some chemical treatment, but I think a good, nice, thorough rinse. So rinse off your leaves, rinse off your roots, make sure that you get all of that chemical off, and then get it into some really good water. You can either go with a water or like a hydrogen water mix. Usually we'll do 70% hydrogen, excuse me, no, that's backwards. 70% water and then 30% hydrogen. Let it soak in that overnight. And then with anthuriums, maybe after one night of soaking, getting it right into whatever mix that you are going to put it into. And it really depends, because it's going to be different for different people. Because us, it's easier because the mix that we use is basically the same or similar mixture that that they use with Ecuagenera. The only substitute is where we use cocoa coir chips, they use pine bark. But everything else, with the exception of some additives we put in it, like mycos and charcoal, with the exception of that, our mixes are very similar, and so the plants are kind of going back into a similar environment that we're into after they go through the rehydration process that we're going to put them through by putting them straight into water. All right. So this is a pretty big one here. Another one that I'm just like, I don't think I've ever heard of this, and so it's kind of weird. I don't know why or how or what. Might as well get them all in there. But this is another one. This is a Anthurium Yasuni heart. No idea what we're going to get with this. There's quite a bit of care taken into packaging this one. So I'm curious to see what it's going to look like. Okay. Oh wow, that's also very pretty. And those are pretty good sized leaves too. I don't know what this cross is. And it may not be a cross. Let's see this leaf. I don't know what's going on with that leaf. I don't know if that's chemicals or what. And it's kind of interesting because they put cotton around the baby leaf just in case it does survive. I don't think that it will, quite honestly. In fact, I can tell you 100% that it won't, because of the fact that it's got so much damage to it. But they attempted to, and so I appreciate the care and the effort in that. And I'm guessing this is probably treatment, like chemical treatment of some kind. I don't know if you can see the whiteness in there. And that's one reason why it's really a great idea to rinse off your leaves really well, not just the roots, but also the leaves, because there's a really good chance that the leaves have chemical on them from the chemical treatment in order to kill off any pesticides before they actually ship them. But yeah, happy with this one. It is dark. I mean, you can't really tell on camera, but it is pretty dark. It's not quite as dark as, oh dear, is that the Portilla Dreams? Yeah, I think that's the Portilla Dreams. Not quite as dark as the Portilla Dreams, and not quite, and definitely not as dark as the Raven Soul, but it is a darker anthurium. When we come across a lighter one that's like not considered as a dark anthurium, I'll compare the two side by side. But So far, it looks like this has just been a dark anthurium order, which I have no problems with because that's really kind of my thing right now that I'm into. So that's probably what it was. You get in one of those phases and like, oh great, I'm gonna get all of those, and that's really what I've done here. All right. But yeah, so far, nothing has been a disappointment, really, honestly. This is another anthurium Yasuni heart. I may have ordered two, not realizing that I ordered two. But yeah, so there's that. Let's see. Wow. So this is a plant that I, oh no. All right, so interesting thing. Somebody, another person or a member of our group had ordered this plant, and it turned out that they didn't realize that this was not a plant that ships well and not a plant that really does well, and it really requires a lot of humidity. In fact, in my Facebook group that I admin, I expressed that this is one of the plants that I would not order as an import, whether it's from Ecuagenera, from anybody, because it's a corrugated plant and they just don't ship well. And I'll explain what I mean by corrugated as well. And give me just 1 second. I'm going to be right back, and then we'll go through that process. Okay, and we're back. So we were talking about the corrugatum and how it ended up in this order. It didn't arrive in very good condition, and so, you know, being nice, I guess, as a nice gesture, we told the person that we would just buy it so that they didn't have to deal with going through the process of reaching out to. And that's the thing too. Also, let me just preface this with this: if you were to take a picture of the plant, send it to Ecuagenera, let them know the condition of the plant, if it's within like the first day that you order it, like it doesn't arrive in good condition, they're more than happy to work with you and try and get something taken care of. But in this case, it was just one plant, and you know, being a good host, I thought I would just take care of that customer and just buy that plant off of her at the cost that she paid for it. Just, you know, just to make it an easy process for her, and ensure that she left happy as well, because making people happy is important to us. All right. Let's see. But we'll still take a look. I got a little peek, like a preview, and honestly, it's really not too bad. But being the plant that it is, I don't anticipate for this to live. You know, we just call it for what it is. So kind of while we're talking about that, there's a few plants that that I don't think will do well in shipping. So here's the one leaf that's obviously it's not going to make it. It's already done. And then here's the rest of the plant. So this actually, and I'm going to be fully honest and transparent, this actually looks really good for this particular plant in terms of how it's shipped. This is probably just needs to be cut off because we got some rot in there. But in all honesty, for this particular plant, I'm probably gonna I'll see what the roots look like once we get it undone here, but I may try and just prop it and section it off and see if there's any nodes in here that will grow back out. But this is actually not so bad. So this is a corrugatum, anthurium corrugatum, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show this on camera, but yeah, actually we'll be able to get it. So see how it's all rigid and corrugated in there. Any plant that looks like that has that corrugation, you really want to, with the exception of the luxurian and the luxurian radicans cross, and those are actually bigger, thicker ridges and bigger, thicker leaves. Like the leaf structure on this is really super flimsy and thin. and so they tend to just turn to mush during shipping. And so that's one that I would certainly avoid. A few others that I would avoid would be the Regulosum and the Amazon Sunset, the Amazon Hummingbird. Pretty much any Varicosum is going to be a more odds. The odds are better for it to not arrive well than the odds are for it to arrive well. Another one is the Piper Anthem or Anthurium, Piper something, Anthium. Maybe once again put the name up there, but some type of Piper, but it's super corrugated. Like picture the level of corrugation this is times like 10, and it's, but yeah, we'll throw a picture of it in there somewhere. But yeah, those don't do well. But honestly, I think this guy is gonna, I think he's gonna make it maybe. Odds are not in its favor, but we'll see. All right. I think that's it for that series of plants. I don't know if these are dates. Got February 2nd. That might be a date, like it might be the date of that order. No, I think that was just 1 of 2 and then 2 of 2. Let's see. Alright, so that was bag 2 of 2, because this is an unbagging event, not an unboxing event. Let's take a look at bag 1 of 2. I don't think there's going to be as many dark anthuriums in here, because I think that last bag was like a dark anthurium order, where it's probably when I first got excited about dark anthuriums and just figured I'm going to try and order as many of them as I can. This one looks like it's going to be a Strappy order. Looks like there's some Strappy stuff in here. Right. Let's see what we got here. So this one is a Philodendron, also anthurium. The bulk of these are probably going to be anthuriums. We had a lot of philodendrons in the shop, and I needed to kind of offset that and then get some anthuriums. Plus, I would really like to try and get some of these to produce inflorescence and get them to where we can start to maybe grow some. You know, we've got our crystallinum that just happened to self-pollinate on its own, and that's been a pretty cool experience. They're still seedlings and not, I actually have like 2 or 3 that actually look like crystallinums now, and that's kind of cool. But it'd be neat to do it with more anthuriums, and so I think that's kind of why I've gotten on this anthurium kick lately, just to try and get something to pollinate. This is super long, so let's see. There we go. Yeah, that's in really good condition. You can see the size of it. We're looking at it, and then here's the smaller leaf here. It's only 2 leaves, but the 2 leaves are in really good shape. So notice the back side. Nice long strappy plant, and it's got a little bit of color to it. Let's bump it up against the oh, I can't remember what this guy was called. There you go. Oh yeah, nope, not that one. Anyways, the one that I said was a lighter color but still was dark. I believe it's this one. No, yeah, this one. Alright, so that was one. I can't remember the name of it. I'll go back in the video and find it. But I was saying that this one was still kind of dark. And then now you can see just another shade. So this one's still a shade darker than this one. But this one's still a little bit dark. So as we get into like the lighter and lighter shades, I'll kind of show the variations as they go. But yeah, this is nice, dark, strappy plant. So, good stuff there. Philodendron. Okay. Slap that guy right there for a minute. Let's make some changes here. Oh, this is one that I really like. And I didn't expect it to come in this big. The last one we got was really small. So this guy is an anthurium furcatum. It's got a really cool leaf texture and structure to it. And I really like it. It's almost like if you were to take, I don't know, some type of anthurium and cross it with a cuprea maybe, you might get this type of leaf structure. Yeah, this is a big one. There we go. This is just more long than anything else. So, and this is an interesting thing, because one thing that's, well, I guess the one thing that's interesting about this is it goes against the words that I would say don't get a plant that is corrugated, because if you look, the leaf structure and the level of corrugation is actually very similar to the corrugatum, but I'm trying to figure out how I can get this in a frame or where you can see it and it's not like all over the place. Maybe we'll try this one. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so has the same kind of flimsy leaves. It's got the same amount of corrugation. Maybe not quite the same, but very similar amount of corrugation. But for some reason, this one, and the last time that we ordered it, it actually did really well. And I've had other people say that they've ordered it and it did really well. And so it's kind of like the exception to the rule for me, because this is one that if I were to look at this plant for the first time, face value, and say, and you were to ask me, what should I get it or should I not get it in terms of how well will it do in shipping, and I'd look at it like, nope, don't get it. It's corrugated. It's gonna not travel well. But it actually did travel fairly well. Even so, we do have a couple leaves that didn't do as well. I'm not sure if this is a traveling issue or what, but this leaf looks like it's got some weird stuff going on here. Yeah. So like this particular leaf, get out of the way. There. This particular leaf didn't do so well. And usually this is what you're gonna get with a corrugated leaf. They really can't touch each other. They have to ship almost perfect in order. Quick brief pause there because I think I hit the stop button with the leaf, but this guy actually shipped really well. This is probably the oldest leaf, not doing so great, but I have a lot of faith in this one. This one should do well. The last one did well. The ones that I've seen that other people have ordered have done well, and it's a pretty good leaf size. So, good stuff. All right, again, this is the furcatum, Anthurium furcatum. What's up, everybody? This is Future Teray making a quick correction. So I said Anthurium furcatum. It's actually a philodendron. I was in this whole anthurium kick and vibe and made a mistake. So I just want to make that quick correction. Oh, yeah, still under construction. But anyways, wanted to make that quick correction. Let's go ahead and get back to the video. Talk to you in a few. Bye. Oh, watch out for part 2. It's coming up soon. Okay. It's another Philodendron. won't talk about it too much because we've already talked about it. We'll just try and get it unboxed or unbagged quickly. This one, and this one's got a much more velvety look to it. I don't know if it's because it's more mature or if it's what it is, but super velvety. Actually, palletiform. Yeah, very velvety. That's just you know, I really like that. This one's got a little bit more damage to it, but color's really good. The shape is really good. Like this leaf broke. Yeah, this leaf broke off. That's kind of a bummer. We're gonna go ahead and just cut it now because it's not gonna do anybody any good. All right, so we lost that leaf, but to give you a good idea of what it looks like. Very, very pretty. Okay. All right. Nice strappy plant. And up next we have Magnificum. So we've been into the shop. This particular plant or species should not, well, the species obviously, but this particular plant should not be a stranger to you. It's kind of a staple in our shop. We always try to have at least one on hand. In fact, the one that we have in the shop right now has got a nice huge leaf. It's just, it sizes up really nice. This is a good plant. Let's see how this goes shipped. And actually, there's some really nice Magnificums that are in the shop at the pop-up right now. So hopefully some of you will get the opportunity to take one home at a drastically reduced price and play your hand in getting a beautiful plant for a ridiculously low price. This one's a little bit smaller, younger. Again, got some chemical on there. We'll make sure to get that washed off. Make sure to not put my hands in my mouth or anything now that I've touched it. But all in all, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves, and smaller, younger leaves. And this one's got some weird, it must have got stuck in the caterpillar or something, but it's kind of weird because it's on both sides in the same place. But typically, oh, well, that's our not so good leaf to show. Let's try and show this guy. And these can size up and get really big, hence the term Magnificum. But let's back up. There we go. Yeah. But overall, came in really good condition. One leaf not the best, and the others are a little bit on the small side, but small is not always bad. Definitely need to give it a good wash, but yeah, still decent. Anthurium magnificum. When the new leaves come out, they come out like this really super pretty bronze color, almost like a translucent version of that. Super pretty. This doesn't want to go in there. There we go. Okay. I'll start turning these in another direction here. Okay. Oh, wow. I almost bought one of these today, too. Let's see. So this, I'm going to move some stuff around here. Like that. Is a, I can't say it, but I'm going to try. It's a philodendron. So actually this is the first philodendron that we've had in this whole series so far. Heterocraspidon. So philodendron heterocraspidon. All right. This here. Okay. Yeah, actually, this has shipped very well as well. Uh-oh, battery's dying. We're going to have to come back after we charge up. But meanwhile, until the battery dies, very, very pretty plant. And one thing that I can certainly tell as I'm looking at the different stuff that I've ordered this go around is kind of in alignment with my 2023 goals. And that's to be very intentional with everything that I do. And I can see with this order, I was very intentional with everything that I've ordered, focusing on dark plants as well as strappy plants, and if possible, dark strappy plants if I'm going the strappy route, and plants that I know will do well and survive and thrive in our care and in the store. And so I'm very happy so far with everything that we've ordered. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. I'm going to let this charge up a little bit, and then we'll be back again for the remaining few plants we've got here. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon. All right, we're back. And you know, it's funny because we only had like 2 more plants to go. And one of the 2 that we had was one that we've already seen. But so what I'm going to do is I was going to not unwrap the other anthurium Yasuni heart, but now I will, since we've got a little bit more battery and it doesn't make sense to restart everything in order to just unwrap one plant. Don't know what I did with my scissors though, so let's oh, there they are. That was real fast. Okay, so we got scissors, good to go. Let's start with the 2 that we've already seen what they look like. We're going to start with the Yasuni heart. So just to be another one of the same. Put that up there. Oh, and I may have made a mistake. I feel like I said this was the first philodendron that I had unwrapped when I said the one that I can't pronounce the name of unless I'm looking at it, so I'm not going to try it at all. Like heteroscrapidon something. But prior to that, the furcatum is also a philodendron, so just thought I'd put that out there because I may have unintentionally called the furcatum an anthurium when it is not. Alright, so here we have the second Yasuni heart. This one looks a little bit different, but still very pretty. Also fairly dark. Not as dark, you know, obviously let's do the comparison here. So you've got dark, then you have just absolutely super dark, but still pretty dark. And also this one also has a lot of chemical on it. And interestingly enough, I'm not so sure if this is going to survive, but for being a baby leaf, that's in really good condition. I'm pretty impressed with that. And so I would say that these ship fairly well. I'm curious to figure out what cross this is. I don't know if this is a cross or if this was a species, but I like it. Yeah, I can see why I ordered 2 of them now. And I didn't see any of these at the pop-up today that I can remember. And so, good deal. And then, oh, so I started to go ahead and unravel this. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it for this one. You get a behind the scenes look of just me taking the bag off and then taking the roots out. But that's a kind of a good reminder of if you are going to attend a pop-up, whether it's you know, local or you're going to travel to go to it and you're going to have plants that you might want that you're hoping to be there. If it's something that's not like commonly heard of, like your Warquean or your, you know, your Veitchii or your Bessier or maybe even some of your newer crosses like the Raven Soul, if it's an Ecuagenera pop-up, you probably want to order those ahead of time and have them shipped to the pop-up, because they're probably not going to carry those more rare or one-offs that are less common. Like I'm not necessarily saying that this is more rare than a queen, but I am saying that this is one that's less common than a queen, and so there's a good chance that you would not find this particular plant at a pop-up unless it happened to be a one-off that they decided to bring. Alright, so there's that. And now let's get into let's unbox the Magnificum. Unbag, not unbox. Unbag. Magnificum. Alright, let's see. Put this right here. So flip around. Slide it up there. See, I knew like 10-15 plants in. I'm faster now. Quick with the scissors. Okay. Alright. So again, I can tell that the leaves are a little bit smaller than the Magnificums that we have at the pop-up event right now. But at the same time, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes, especially during shipping, oh wow, it's our first yellow leaf. Especially during shipping, usually the smaller leaves I've noticed have a better chance of survival as long as it's not the oldest leaf. And actually this guy just fell off, so that can happen. You know, you might lose your oldest leaf. And this is kind of another good thing to talk about too, because it's been a newer train of thought that my wife has introduced me to, and that is not exactly cutting off your old leaves right away. If you have an older leaf that's probably lower down on the stem and it's starting to turn yellow like this, what's very, well, I don't want to say what's very possible or what's likely to happen or what might be happening, but a new school of thought in that process, which I think I've talked about in another video, but a new school of thought in that process is that older leaf is diverting its energy and its chemicals, or you know, whatever that photosynthesis process of creating energy. Photosynthesis process of creating the plant food and nutrient. It's diverting all of that from the oldest leaf to the rest of the leaves so that they can survive and do well. And so you may not want to cut off that older yellow leaf or that yellowing dying leaf right away, because if it still has some energy or some nutrition or food, whatever you want to call it, inside of it, you may want to let it do its thing and then let it fall off naturally. Kind of like this one, it fell off right as I took it out. You know, just the leaf was done. It's like, okay, I did my part, now it's on you. But in return, if you look at it in comparison to the other two leaves, you know, you can see that the other two leaves are looking really good. And so this might have been like the sacrificial lamb, if you will, in terms of the leaves for this particular plant. So yeah, just another thought. You may not want to cut off those yellowing leaves until they have completely yellowed. If you are not one that is going to stress out from a leaf yellowing, I know that there's some out there that are like, no, I'm going to cut it off because the thought of a leaf turning yellow is a sign of dying, and I don't want to have that in my life. You know, if that's you, that's okay too. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I've kind of thought about that as well in terms of perspective. Any plants that are in an area where it's like I want to see them thriving and happy, maybe I would probably do the same thing. But if it's like in a grow tent and I'm trying to get that plant to survive or best chances of survival, and people aren't looking at it or choosing it, you know, like in a store, then I would probably give that leaf plant every opportunity to survive, which would include leaving that leaf on there. This probably has the most roots of any of the plants that I have unboxed so far, and they look really good. Now, one thing that you'll notice is that you'll see that these roots have some green in them, which is a nice sight, because usually the anthuriums will be shipped and then all of the roots will turn white, but the green roots are really healthy roots that are more older roots that are more sustained, and they look really good. They don't feel mushy. They're nice and firm and crisp, and so good stuff there. I'm just gonna clip that one off of there. Get rid of that. Shake it a little bit. I'm shaking it off of camera just because I don't want to get it mixed in. I'm gonna probably soak and boil and rinse and do everything like 100 times over so that we can reuse that in some fashion. But you don't want to have any roots in there because that could cause your sphagnum moss to not be as good as it potentially could be. Yeah, looking really good. It's magnificum, looking magnificent, as its name would indicate. All right. Moving on to the next one, which is also the last one. Alright, so in our last one we have, and this is another one that I really don't remember ordering. This is an Anthurium Magnificent Girl Inverse. Definitely a cross, because there's, and definitely an Ecuagenera cross, just for the simple fact that the way that it's named, that's obviously not a scientific naming convention. Sorry for not like eyes on you, but I'm trying to multitask here. But yeah, it's definitely a cross. I'm interested to see what this cross is going to look like. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and tag this magnificum so that I don't mistake it for something else later on down the road. Let's see. Brief pause. Okay, good to go. All right, so let's see what this girl looks like. Can't call it a guy because it's clearly named as a girl, so we're gonna call her as she is. Okay, so again, this is a magnificent, not magnificum, but magnificent girl inverse. there. Little snip there. Oh, interesting. I'm seeing luxurian just from peeking inside the bag. Oh wow. Darn, this new leaf, so this is a baby leaf. It's probably going to struggle. It might actually die. Very pretty. I can definitely tell that it's probably a crystallinum crossed with something not luxurian, but almost looks like luxurian. It has very much like the crystallinum red stem. It has that red spot in the sinus, so that's very interesting. I really like the coloration of the new leaves, and then, you know, also very much like the crystallinum, your leaf is very dark in nature. It's longer than the crystallinum, but looks very, very similar in terms of what its overall leaf looks like. So it's definitely going to be crossed with the crystallinum. The crystallinum with the red sinus, and then even if you look at the back, look how red that back is. And then once it matures, so this is the newest leaf, you know, your back is very red as it's younger, and once it matures it gets darker, and it looks like it actually loses the redness in the sinus, and so it's not a crystallinum red stem, but it may have been crossed with one potentially. It almost looks like a crystallinum crossed with magnificum, possibly, because it has that longer elongated leaf structure, but it still has the strong veinage of the crystallinum. So I don't know. I'm curious. Again, maybe I'll throw it up in the comments as to what the crosses are. But still a very fun looking plant, and still, you know, staying in that dark anthurium family. So good stuff. Okay. So that was the last of our pre-orders. Maybe I'll do another unbagging of our orders, because very much like you, I'm super excited. You know, obviously we will travel out of state to go to pop-ups, and so even if we have one here, it's not going to stop us from buying plants as well. Very much like you, we're super excited and enjoy that experience, and you know, we're planty people, and so having Ecuagenera out gives us the opportunity to take advantage of that and take a shot at getting those super cool prices or super good prices on some really crazy cool plants, and trying to get them to live and thrive and survive. And so I might do another video of whatever it is that we pick up while they're out with us here today and tomorrow. So yeah, that's it. Kind of a long video. I'll try and speed it up through some parts, but truly appreciate you for hanging out, staying with us for a little bit. Again, really good roots, and we'll kind of go from there. This is Teray, Armstrong Aroids. If you get an opportunity to head to an Ecuagenera pop-up, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. You can get some really cool stuff at some really good prices that you won't find pretty much anywhere else unless you were to order it online. But the benefit of it is, at the pop-up, you can see firsthand what it is that you're getting. You get to pick your plant, choose your plant. While standing in line, you make friends that are into the same thing that you are, and so that's a lot of fun as well. And yeah, just highly encourage you, check it out. Go to one, at least one, and see what it's like. Till next time, I just want to say thank you. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon. It's Teray with Armstrong Aroids. Have a great day. Bye. Okay, what's up everybody? So it's pretty late at night at this point, but I figured that we'd go ahead and bring this video full circle and talk about everything from the rinsing, which you probably will have seen at this point. Took everything over to the sink, gave it a thorough wash, rinsed the roots, rinsed the leaves, and ensured that all of the chemicals that the plants get treated with are washed off so that it has its greatest chance of survival, and so that it doesn't start to leach that up as it starts to suck in the water that it needs in order to kind of rehydrate itself after the shipping process. So we've got some of those plants here with us here, and then again we've got more of it in the background. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this just sit and soak and rehydrate overnight and kind of reacclimate in order to get its life back. I'm coughing a little bit just because even though I used a mask while making soil, or soilless soil is what I like to call it, because it actually has no soil in it. It's more like a aroid mix that we prefer. Excuse me, but while I was making that, some of the perlite in the dust from the cocoa coir chips, it just, it's inevitable. It's going to happen a little bit, which is why it's sometimes, for some of you, it might be, especially if you have asthma, it might be better to just buy it from somebody like Armstrong Aroids than to make it, because it does wreak a little bit of havoc on you if you inhale it. But nonetheless, it had to be done because we have to be able to have it available in the shop tomorrow for the second day of the Ecuagenera pop-up. And we sold out of it today, but it's really good mix. We'll just talk about this for a second. This is a good place to start. So with our soil, it's an aroid mix, hence Armstrong Aroids. And we've got a few different things in there. So we've got your cocoa coir chips, which are, very important. That helps retain moisture. Very similar to sphagnum moss, but not quite as much moisture as sphagnum moss, so it allows the roots to dry back out a little bit. You've got your perlite in there. So perlite is like a little pumice type of dusty type of material. That's the stuff that can get into your lungs. Preferably better that it doesn't. Probably in the state of California would be cited as an agent to cause cancer. And typically it's a little bit larger, but this particular batch, it's kind of smaller chunks, but it works just the same. You'll have charcoal. Excuse my nails, obviously I've just been digging in the dirt basically. So we'll have charcoal in there. And then, clearly not going to be able to get it, but if you look at my nails, you'll probably see some worm castings. It's kind of gross, I know, but like, maybe look down there. The bulk of that dark matter is worm castings. And then we also have some mycos in there. Mycos is like a powdery substance. It's more of a, I don't know, look it up. Mycos. It's really good stuff. Your plants will like it. And then we also have, let's see what do we have? Cocoa coir, perlite, mycos, worm castings. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. But the key to a good aroid mix is that it allows the water to flow through it quite freely. And so I'll demonstrate that here right now. In fact, this is kind of what we'll usually do. Is what we'll normally do is we'll have this as a medium, and then we'll use like a leca based substrate. Obviously this cup is going to be free of leca because it's just for demonstration purposes. But you want your water in an aroid mix, you want your water to be able to flow all the way through so that it has the opportunity to kind of dry out. Let's see if we can get the right mixture on this. So see how that water is just kind of free flowing. It's draining all the way down into the bottom. It's dark, but the reason why it's dark is because that's the charcoal, and because it's the first time we've run water through it. But it just runs right through, and then it stays a little bit moist because of your perlite and because of your cocoa coir chips, but not too dry and not too moist. And so that's a really good aroid mix for the plants, because they like to just, have the picture on the Amazons. You've got like this rain that just rushes down on your plant, and then you've got this soil that is built up over time of all of this different aggregate or whatever media that allows it to just kind of dissipate, and then the roots kind of dry out. And so you want to emulate that process, and so that's really what a really good aroid mix will do for you. So really good stuff there. All right, what's the next thing I wanted to close out with? Oh, so we're thinking, go full circle. Let's share with you some tricks and tips about the process. So one of the things is, once you have rinsed out your roots and rinsed off your leaves and everything else, you want to get it into a water base, and typically what I'll do is, and this is personal preference, there's no science behind this, but I will put my anthuriums with my anthuriums and my philodendron with my philodendron. And the main reason why is because I've noticed that their reaction to the water is different. Anthuriums, if you leave them in water for like too long, they get this really weird bad smell to them. And so a couple things. One, if you smell that, and you'll know what it smells like, make sure you change out your water. Philodendrons, if you leave them in water for too long, they struggle, like a syngonium or a monstera or a syndopsis. You can leave that in water for a super long period of time, and sometimes with philodendrons as well, but very much less as much. But if you do, and a philodendron starts to rot, basically, it can rot, very much like a monstera can rot. So when I say like monsteras, I should probably air quote any monstera besides the monstera alba or the monstera aurea can particularly root in water fairly well, but those two you have to be very careful because they can rot. But what I'll do is I will rehydrate my newly brought in plants or newly acquired pop-up plants in water for at least 24 hours. And honestly, philodendrons, I still haven't figured out what that sweet spot is. I've tried it for days on end, like 4 or 5 days. I tried it for a week, tried it till I saw new secondary roots, and I'm just not sure. I'm almost at a point where I might go the opposite direction and probably say, okay, give it 2 hours and then pot it up for philodendrons. Anthuriums, I think that the sweet spot for them is 24 hours. Let them suck up all that water and throw them into a nice aroid mix so that they're good to go. Excuse me, perlite. So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. You saw, by this point, you've seen everything that we have brought in from the Ecuagenera Pop-Up in terms of like our pre-order. And I want to show you what the loss rate was. And so in business, you're going to have what's called, in the business world, you're going to have what's called a calculated loss rate. And that's where that no matter what, you're going to lose X amount of something. It's usually product. It can be, in some cases, dollars. It can be, in some cases, customers. In this case, I'm going to call it leaf loss, or plant loss, X amount of plant loss. And so the calculated risk or calculated plant loss that I usually anticipate on an imported order, provided that nothing goes wrong, because if something goes wrong, it could be 100%, like, done, you lost everything, you're out the door. But if everything goes well, everything goes perfect, then that calculated loss rate is probably about 20 to 30%. And so this is where I want to kind of say, not even kind of, I want to purely say that attending a pop-up is an awesome event to go to, because you get to see everything firsthand, you get to look at it, you get to inspect it, you get to make that decision, you get to decide between this or that, you know, you get all of that. And we kind of experience that. And even if you don't, you still, because of the fact that you know when the shipment's coming, you know what the weather should be about, like you can control a little bit better some of those variables. And before I start ranting on and going on a tangent, I'm just going to explain to you that because of the fact that we intentionally decided to go with May, which happened to also be our anniversary date with the 2023 pop-up, and we knew that the weather would be as good as it could be as far as like being the best possible weather for the situation in terms of shipping of plants. As a result, I think that, you know, you've seen the plants at this point. The calculated loss rate was far greater than what the actual loss rate was. So calculated loss rate is what you plan to lose, and you build it into what your expectations are. The actual loss rate is what you end up losing. And so you see me holding this, I believe this is palletiforum, and it broke off. You know, it probably broke off during packaging or shipping. Very nice leaf, but it was like one of three, so there's still 2 leaves that were on this plant. And then there is this. And so these 2 leaves literally were all I lost in that pre-order. And so when you think about everything that I ordered, I'll try and kind of slide it out of the way, like everything right here and everything that's right here, maybe try and bring it down the frame a little bit, you know. Ooh, okay, that just went from like 10% to like 12%. Just kidding, but maybe. To only lose 2 leaves initially, that's insane. Now, admittedly, we're going to lose a little bit more. You know, it's inevitable. It's calculated. We're probably going to lose, you know, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 more leaves, and up to, you know, 10 more leaves, and we could lose a plant. So we anticipate that we'll lose at least 1 plant, maybe 2, and at least, you know, 5 to 6 more leaves if you think about the entire order in full spectrum. But even still, that's insane. That's really, really low loss rate for an import order. And so very, very excited about that. I want to give a shout out to Ecuagenera for everything that they did on their part in order to ensure that, you know, they took a lot of care in making sure that they packed it well, that the shipping timing was right, that they gave me the itinerary as to when to pick up the plants so that they didn't end up sitting in the cargo hold for too long. So there's a lot of factors that played into that led us to having, you know, these super pretty, beautiful plants that just are in amazing shape, you know, just great shape. So I want to say shout out to Ecuagenera. Thank you so much for, you know, ensuring that you did everything that you could in order to make that successful. All right, so once you get the plants here and you have, you know, determined and ended up with your loss rate initially, there's some things that you can do to prevent further loss. And so I want to talk to that just a little bit, just because I figured, you know what, let's go all out. Let's make this an all-inclusive video. It's going to be kind of long, but I think it's going to be beneficial. So you see that the plants are sitting in water. It's not exactly just water per se. So what we've got here is really about 70% water, and then it's also 30% hydrogen peroxide, and per gallon we've got a cap full of B1, vitamin B1. Now, why is that? So your water, obviously rehydration purposes, anthuriums 24 hours, philodendrons, I have no idea. I'm still working on that. If you know, please drop it in the comments what's worked best for you in terms of how long that you like to have your philodendrons sit in the rehydration water period. The hydrogen peroxide really is to kill off anything that may have come with it in shipping. It helps. It's not dangerous. You've probably heard other people say it's just one more extra, what is it? Just like H2O versus H2O2. I don't know. Science, never my forte. Physics, yes, I can rock physics. I can play pool, but science in terms of, we'll even call it chemical science because I don't even know what it's called, but that type of science, not my forte. But it has one extra something. And so that one extra something doesn't harm the plants. It really just helps it kill off anything that's bacterial that can harm the plant while it's in its transformation or its rehydration phase. Vitamin B1, basically just like it says on the label. You're reading it backwards, but reduces transplant shock. That's the big factor there. And then also for root growth, but in this case we're not really thinking about root growth, and it's not that I really support or am trying to create a commercial for Liquinox. In fact, we have a bigger vitamin B1 that's not Liquinox, but this just happens to be the one that we're using right now. But really, it's just good to prevent shock. It helps the plant in its transformation or in its transition from going to everything that it goes through into, you know, being in your final situation of having it into whatever media that you prefer. So really good stuff. Sharing that with you so that you know, so that we can kind of come full circle as to what is the best way to reacclimate your plants in terms of making it a successful situation for you in your home. All right, so there might be some of you that are like, okay, Trey, you are a plant shop owner, and why would you share that information if I can just import plants and not buy plants for you or from you at 3 times the cost? Well, I'll be realistic with you. Even with all that knowledge, you know to use the B1 vitamin, you know to use the hydrogen peroxide, you know to soak your plants for a certain period of time. You still, even with all of that, there's still a lot of things involved that can cause loss, you know, and it's not calculated loss, it's uncalculated loss. I'll give a good example, and I'm not trying to create fear or risk or anything, just sharing what's real. We just lost an order of variegated chia pens due to customs finding pests. Don't think that we're going to get that back. Don't think we're going to get compensated for it. You know, that's a $500 and some odd order that's just gone. So when you buy plants from us, we assume that risk for you. Another thing is your plant could come and arrive and look immensely perfect, you know, and then in 24 hours, it can look like this. Why? Maybe it had a poor reaction to the chemicals in terms of what they use to treat it when they do the phytosanitary. Maybe the roots broke when they packed it. Maybe they didn't pack it well. and it caused it to overheat, or in some cases they can melt. But there's just so much involved that happens during that process that we want to share all of this and show you all of this so that you can be successful and have those opportunities. But if that's just not you, and you want to be able to go and buy a plant, take it home, and know that it's going to live and thrive and be successful for you, that's where we come in. So I have no problem in sharing our process, because even if you nail the process perfectly, you're going to have some losses, and you're going to have some gambles, and we take that loss and that gamble out of the equation for you, and we're here to support you in hopes that you're here to support us. And so really, that's really what it's about for us. That's what our niche is. That's where we're at, because we want to bring you this plant in terms of rarity, and with this much difficulty at this much of a price. We're not here like at the Ecuagenera pop-up. You're getting crazy prices, but the reason why is because there's some risk involved in that. A lot less risk than if you were importing, because A, the plant's already here, B, you can see it, you can expect it, you know what's going on. But at the same time, that plant is out of its natural environment, it's out of its element, it's not acclimated, it's probably going to be need to be rerouted. But you take in all of those factors, and you're getting a really good price with a fairly good amount of risk. And so we take that risk out of the equation. Of course, it costs a little bit more because the plant sits with us for a longer period of time, and we go through all of those other phases, and we take on those additional losses for you. But that's why. And so, yeah, awesome video. I hope for you. I know that it was for me. It kind of evolved as we did different things, and it started out just as an unboxing, unpackaging, because the plant's already here. But then I thought, let's add in some additional stuff, some additional context, some additional content, so that you as a consumer or a buyer or a plant enthusiast or hobbyist can have some additional information. It's probably longer than expected, but hopefully there's some good information in there that you can enjoy and take with you and learn, and pass on that knowledge and share. And the only thing that we can ask is, if you're local, swing by, say hi, check out what we've got going on. We try to create more than just a plant shop, but more like an experience that you will go through when you visit the plant shop. So yeah, we'll kind of go from there. Just want to say thank you so much. Thank you to everybody that supported the pop-up, and will support the pop-up, because we're only one day in. We still have one more day to go. It's going to be super late night. I really should be sleeping right now. But I wanted to make sure that I got this content made for you real time, or at least as close to real time as when we were actually doing everything that we're doing. So thank you. We'll talk to you soon. This is Trey, Armstrong Aroids co-owner, and absolutely 100% plant enthusiast. Appreciate you. Talk to you soon.